Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, how are you today?
Tired now. It's midnight in about 30 seconds. You're probably more tired than me. You just got back from LSU, so clearly you aren't in your podcast room. I know you got some food in the oven, so you're probably
We got
about to
some
go into
wings.
wings. Not just any food, I guess. Wings.
We were leaving the press box. The press box food at LSU is really not very good.
Really? Apogee beats it, or
Well,
that?
Apogee when we
Well, I
went
guess it would be Apogee because we didn't go.
when
We
we
don't go
went to
now,
Apogee, Colin. Remember they had Rudy's. They
oh,
would have fajitas,
dude. Yeah, Thanksgiving.
tacos. Yeah, they had Thanksgiving. Like they had, they had it catered.
Yeah, you
This
went there. You went there to eat. Like I wouldn't eat the whole day.
Yeah,
Whenever. Yeah.
exactly. This LSU, it's like they have you pull it open, you get the tongs and stuff. They have like hot dogs. Every time there's at least the very minimum there's hot dogs, but it's like they're not like good hot dogs. They're like there. Today they did have some pulled pork though. So I loaded up on that a little bit. They have salad and stuff like that. So, and they have the fountain drinks you can go and refill. So I had some of those. That was at like 6. And now it's 12.
What's Apogee rated on a scale 1 to 10 for you? Like
Very
only
high.
Like 8?
No, honestly, yeah, probably 8.
So what's LSU now?
LSU's at like a 6.
Okay, so it's not that far off, but it's
7.
super average.
Yeah, it's
Super
very
average.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
The best is Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, I would say so considering
Atlanta Falcons.
Freaking NFL stadium.
Dude. That, Colin, you would be in heaven. Literally, it's like 3-course meals. They were begging us to take Chick-fil-A home. I was like, okay, fine. I'll take 2 Chick-fil-A sandwiches home. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Chick-fil-A, multiple different desserts, like cake.
What's the
Ice
expectation?
cream. They had
ice cream,
dude.
Oh,
or maybe frozen yogurt, whatever it was. But they had a dude who was literally like would take your order and like be like, here it is.
No way.
Give it to you. Everything.
Jeez.
Everything. And then before, like even outside of the Chick-fil-A, which was at halftime when they put it out, beforehand it was like everything you could imagine. I think they had like the mac and cheese, grilled chicken, everything. Anyways, yeah, that's number 1 by far. I'm gonna go to Alabama this year for LSU Alabama, so I'll let you know how Alabama is.
I feel like Bama's gonna be a letdown. I feel like they couldn't do anything for
Texas
you.
A&M didn't have anything, but then again, I showed up late to that game. I showed up like right as the game
was there
started.
Remnants of something good? You know what I mean?
Remember exactly.
Yeah. Give us an update whenever you go to Bama LSU.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I stole wings on my way out because I guess this was from one of the suites. They kind of just leave food out there. I was leaving at like 11:15, and they kind of just had a box of wings and just grabbed it, took it home. There's probably about 14, 15 wings in there. I'm going to stick them in the oven just to reheat them a bit and then eat them. So anyways, that's 3.5 minutes on press box food, Colin. I'll put, like I usually do, I'll put the timestamps, be like 3.5 minutes on press box food. Now you can skip ahead, and now you're here. Welcome. We're going to talk about North Texas and Temple.
Yeah.
Because right off the bat, you can't talk about this game without talking about EJ Warner not playing in this game.
Yeah.
Like flat out.
Surprise, by the way. Huge surprise.
We didn't hear anything about this. We saw tweets that he was a game time decision. But then obviously he was scratched. He didn't come out for warmups and he didn't play. So with that being the case, that changes everything about this game. And we'll get into positive takeaways for North Texas side because there are positives to take away from a 45-14 win over Temple, obviously. But EJ Warner not playing changes everything about this game. Flat out.
Yeah.
Especially when the backup quarterback that they put in was awful.
Garbage. Absolute trash. Absolute trash.
Yeah, he might not even be the third best quarterback at North Texas. Like I'm taking Stoner all over him. Now JD Head or whatnot.
Is Jay still quarterback?
Oh yeah, sure? That was the one I was forgetting. I was like, who am I forgetting here?
Yeah.
I almost said Grant Gunnell, but he's in Sam Houston State, so
he's gone.
Regardless, This quarterback was awful. All he could do was run, which he did. He ran for
He ran
113 yards.
he ran a lot.
Ran for more rushing yards than passing yards. But still, this was not a Temple team that wants to run the ball or is built to run the ball. So, yeah, that really was kind of, let's just say I loaded up on North Texas -6.5 when I saw EJ Warner was going to be out. Because it was very clear to me Temple already was not a good team, and now you take away their really only good player,
But yeah,
and
their
I'm
best
using him for
player.
it. But so, yeah, that's where we have to start. But Colin, I think I want to talk about this offense because the offense put up 45 points on a Temple defense that, albeit it's not great, but man, they just look comfortable. They just look in rhythm. I loved the game that Eric Morris called. I loved the comfort that Chandler Rogers had. I loved the way they ran the ball. I loved everything about the offense.
Yeah, I mean it's an offense that I mean, I wouldn't even I think it's more dynamic than having Mason Fine just because Chandler Rogers can move.
Mhm.
But you can do anything with Chandler Rogers and this run game or these running backs that you have. Like
Yeah.
you saw you said you texted me at the very beginning and I think you tweeted out the very first drive. I think it was like a 16 play drive. They
Yep.
threw a lot of short passes, then bang over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like and throughout the game, you see intermediate passes, you see the deep bombs, you see the running game. Obviously, Oscar Attaway had a great game, averaged 13.5 yards a carry, touchdown. Like this team is the most well-rounded offense we've seen in, I mean,
2017.
I was gonna say 17 or
Jeff
18,
Wilson.
whatever year that
Yeah.
was with Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it just looks great. And Chandler Rogers looks phenomenal. It's not like he's just back there, just like getting carried by the running backs and doing his thing. He's clearly a guy. Like he's the dude. So it's amazing to me. Again, just gotta bring it back up that he somehow lost the job to start the season. But he looks legit every game, and every game we see, I'm just more and more convinced that he's really really good.
Yeah. And we have to talk about friend of the show, Jamori Macklin.
Lamar
Sorry.
Macklin,
J Mac, man.
dude,
This dude, where do I start? He's 163 yards on 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. The yards after catch, 97. Like, he is athletic enough to make plays after the catch. He gets open. He really can't be single covered. He gets it at all 3 levels. Jamori Macklin, I mean, you put him up there with everybody else. Like, there's Jalen Darden, and then you put him in the conversation with Jalen Guy and Rico Bussey, like all of those guys that have come over the past decade. He is. I feel great because over the offseason, we're like, hey, this guy's the best receiver on this team. Jamori
right?
Macklin's going to be a guy. And we called it, but he's putting up just ridiculous numbers. Like his yards per catch this year has got to be up to like 23, 24?
Yeah, it's high. I mean, he had 20. It was 27 this game, and I'm not surprised that he's doing really well. I am surprised that he is filling that Jair shorter role. I thought
Yes.
that Trey Cleveland or
Yes. A bigger
somebody else,
receiver.
Damon
Yeah.
Ward maybe would do that, but Jamori Macklin is the do it all receiver. And not only that, you bring up Jalen Darden, and obviously Darden's probably the best receiver to ever come through North Texas. He does things that, I mean, it could just be, recency bias. Like he does things where I'm like, oh, like that's different. You know what I mean? Like NFL level different. Whereas like Guyton, it's like he's really, really good. Or Rico Bussey, he's really, really good. But like I think he's almost on the same level as Jalen Darden in a way.
Funny thing is, he goes into the year and we're like, all right, this is a route runner. His Twitter ad is route runner 9.
Yeah.
And he's doing so much more than just being a great
So
route
much
runner.
more.
He's getting over the top. He's being a yards after catch guy. Like he is being so dynamic. So we have to give him his credit, his flowers right now because he is phenomenal. By far best receiver on the team. Like you said, Chandler Rogers, you covered it well. He is in rhythm. I mean, he's exactly what this offense needs. He's exactly what Eric Morris needs. And this is what we talked about in probably March, like April. We were probably like, hey, this is a perfect fit for Eric Morris, who has done great things with quarterbacks in his career. This is a great fit. I'm so interested, and we'll get into like the future, the rest of the schedule in a bit, but like it's going to be really fascinating to watch this offense against some good defenses coming up because we know you're going to have to score points, and I think they're capable of scoring points. But like, can this offense take it into another gear? Can it take it to a level of, all right, to this point in the year, who's the best defense they played? Cal, right? But we didn't
Yeah.
see Cal. We didn't see Chandler Rogers against Cal. We didn't see this offense against Cal. So it's like, all right, Louisiana Tech, they dropped to, what was it, 37? Navy, it was a lower possession game, still scored 24. So it's like, it feels like they can step on the field and score 30 points. But next week it's Tulane,
It's
and
a test.
I don't want to say that. So
Yeah.
does it feel like there's more to be had with this offense, or does it feel like this is an offense that can't sustain it through the stretch of death?
I think they can sustain it through stretch of death because they're so dynamic. Like, you can get it through the run game, you can get it through the air. Whereas, the team they just played, Temple, we clearly saw what happens whenever you take away the one dimension, which is their passing game, away from them. So again, I think this offensive dynamic. The problem is now I don't think you're gonna be able to put up. It's not going to be an every drive score like it was tonight, right? Obviously, they didn't score every drive, but you're not going to put up 45 points. It's going to probably be that 45 comes down to like a 30 or 27 against a Tulane. And is that going to be enough to beat them?
Let's flip it. Let's talk about the defense a little bit,
Yeah.
because in theory, holding a team to 14 points, 0 in the second half, that's a good result. And I do want to give them credit. I want to give them credit because Temple turned and ran the ball. And in the second half, they at least held them down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the halves. First half, Temple ran the ball 24 times for 156 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. Second half, Temple ran the ball 26 times for 86 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. So we saw a drastic improvement in the run defense in the second half. How, do you want to give them credit for that? Do you want to, do you think that it's a positive? Because last weekend's Navy, people were saying that they took a step forward.
I don't want to be negative because obviously the defense, 14 points, great.
Yes.
It was awful in the first half. I mean, god awful.
This is a Temple team that came into the game averaging 90 yards.
I think it was
per
90
game.
Yeah.
Like, they're not a team that wants to run the ball. Obviously, when you have Patterson back there, you can run some quarterback draws, QB run plays, but even then the tackling was bad. Like, the fits were bad.
Here's the thing. Temple was down 24-14 at half. They had to throw the ball eventually because once North Texas goes, okay, this guy's never going to throw the ball, you can key in on that. And although you're still giving up a few yards here and there, you're going to be able to stop them eventually because guys are going to get tired. You're not going to be able to keep blocking all the time. And so I don't want to give the defense no credit, but a lot of that to me was like the 3 turnovers. Like, if he doesn't turn the ball over 3 times, they're probably getting another score if they are able to throw the ball. Like, that first pick was awful.
Dude,
he floated that pass up. Yeah, I'm just that first one though. It's like, oh, okay, he has to let it loose now. Floated up, awful. Yeah. So yes, the defense only gave up 14 points, but I need to see it against a team that
has a pulse.
And is doing something that they're supposed to do. You let a Temple team who has an awful run offense run all over you. How many rushing yards do they have? 242 rushing yards.
Yeah. And like I said,
they looked like Navy basically out there.
Yeah, and it was 156 in the first half. And this is where we were like, all right, can this team get a stop in the run game? And that's why last week, while I agree with people in that you should be, kind of patting yourself on the back. You played some better defense against Navy. You didn't look god awful. Sure, but you still allowed them to rush for 300 yards. You still were the worst ranked rush defense in the country here. And Temple goes out there. Sure, they probably knew E.J. Warner was going to play for a few days, so they were able to scheme up maybe a few things. And maybe the defense, North Texas defense, didn't have that luxury. They probably went to the game preparing for E.J. Warner. It doesn't matter. This is not a Temple team that is out here scheming up and is killing everybody with some outside zones or QB read options or RPO stuff. Like, this is very much, we're lining up, we're running the ball through the A gap, the B gap, the C gap, and you're not going to stop us. And that's what it felt like for the first half. So, it felt like kind of Navy again, where it's like, all right, we're not going to lose the game because of this, but we're certainly not going to win the game because of this.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you didn't lose to Navy because your defense was awful. but you certainly weren't going to win the game because your defense was good.
Yeah.
Like there's the standard is so low right now. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to be negative because yeah, they did some good things. They finally bowed up in the second half, and that should be a positive. But in order for this team to get to 5 wins, to get to 6 wins, they're gonna have to play much better than this defensively.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
so
Well, I mean, throughout the first half, the quarterback, it was like a scramble or a draw, and it's just like he gets hit right at the line of scrimmage and runs an extra 8 yards, and you're like,
tackling is
what
bad.
are we doing? This is the quarterback. Like it's not like this. Like the running back, Hubbard only had 11 carries for 69 yards. Obviously, there was a couple other dudes mixed in, but a majority of the rushing yards came from Quincy Patterson, the quarterback.
Yeah.
So
The tackling is still a major concern.
right, and I don't think this defense translates to a Tulane. I mean, you said it too. It's against Navy. The defense wasn't going to win you the game, but it also wasn't going to lose you the game. Well, you had a passing game to that Navy team with a good running back. Well, you're going to probably lose the game at that point. If you add EJ Warner to this team, and albeit they're not going to score, they're not going to rush for 242 yards, but then you have to deal with two different dynamics of an offense. You're not just playing for only the rush.
It would have been very interesting if EJ Warner had played because obviously you have the passing dynamic. And I think North Texas wins this game regardless. The offense
Right.
was playing
I
too
agree.
well.
I completely agree.
But you don't get those. Let's say you only get one interception instead of 3. You don't get those easy stops. You might give up another play or two, and this win might be more of 38-31, like we expected it to be.
It's not 14 points, it's 30 points.
Yeah, so it's or 28 points, something like that. So I know we're talking hypothetical, which might frustrate some people because the game that actually happened was a 30-point win.
Right, but I think it's fair to project that onto the future because you're not playing a team that's one-dimensional. You're not playing a Navy again. You're not playing a Temple without a quarterback. You're playing a Tulane, which is the best team in the conference, who just beat Memphis, who looks damn good, who you also play right after Tulane. And you're not playing a team where you can scheme for one dynamic on the offense.
Well, this is where I ask North Texas fans, what do you want out of this year? I want improvement, and I want to just show that we can be competitive, not even against Tulane, but the UTSA, SMU, Memphis is like be competitive in those games, especially offensively, and maybe win one of the 4 games in the stretch of death. Like try to get to 5 wins this year, and even Tulsa and UAB in the back end. If the defense doesn't improve, you're in a very, very tough situation.
Right
there, you're gonna have to outscore them. So again, I want to give this defense credit because everybody was all high on them after the Navy game, and they're going to be high on them again after this Temple game. If you're going into the stretch of death here, do you really feel good about this defense to hold Navy down to 28 points? Or did I say Navy? I meant Temple. I don't know what I said.
Yeah.
To 28 points. Do you trust them to hold Memphis to 28 points? UTSA, 28 points. That's my number. When teams are getting to 35 plus on you and they can actually play defense, I'm just saying, man, Temple allowed USF to score, what was it, 44 on them? Or Temple, or what am I thinking of? No, yeah, I think I'm thinking of the right game. So I'm just like, it's going to get real, really fast. And this isn't a preview podcast. We'll talk about Temple, but I think we can talk about
Tulane.
Tulane. I'm sorry. It is midnight. My words are getting all scrambled. But it's going to get real interesting real fast. That's what
and with the stats from tonight, North Texas is still allowing 225 yards a game through the air, and they're allowing 260 yards on the ground, albeit that's going to be inflated, but that's almost 500 yards of offense. Like that's no matter how that comes, that's not good. Whereas Tulane on the other end is allowing 330 yards a game.
I mean, dude, we watched a little bit of the Tulane-Memphis game. That was a back-and-forth game. Tulane scores 14 points in the fourth quarter to win 31-21. Like, those are the 2 best teams in the conference right now to me. Like, them and SMU.
Yeah.
And North Texas plays all 3 of them. And then UTSA actually looks like it has a pulse on offense now because they beat UAB. I didn't see the final, but they were up on UAB. So
they beat UAB 41-20.
Oh, was that the final?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So UTSA has a pulse again. So
yeah.
Again, I just don't want to get run over in those games. Like I don't want to be a doormat in all 4 games. I don't want to be 30-point loss, 30-point loss, 20-point loss, 20-point loss.
What I will say though is that through these first 3 games, offensively, I feel like we have seen a lot of improvement. Things that we're like, okay, why are you doing this? Like
Yes.
for today, for example, going on it like that 4th down call, I think it was 4th and 4, 4th and 5,
Yeah.
and you were like, I don't like this field goal
Oh,
attempt
yeah.
here, and then they ended like I like the decision to go for it there. I
Yeah.
like the decision to not run it on 4th and 3 or 4th and whatever. I like the decision to play it short and then throw it long. So offensively, I think Morris clearly shows that he's willing to learn from mistakes. It's just, can this team defensively get there with the personnel that they have?
How much did okay, we're now through 6 games this year, right? 3 and 3?
Yeah. Yes.
Through
Yes.
6 games, Colin, how much better are you feeling about Eric Morris? Or are you feeling better? Or do you feel the same? As from our
My
expectations.
my only concern would be the start of the season. I was clearly, but to my preseason expectations, it is the same.
The first 2 games should not have gone the way the first 2 games were.
Exactly. And that, I think, concerned a lot of people more than just us. Obviously, people were calling for his head way too early. But I think in terms of my preseason expectations, this is exactly what I wanted to see from a North Texas team. I mean, if they come out like they came out right now, they beat FIU, you're sitting a lot prettier than you are, but it's just it's just, at that point, it's just a record thing. I think the team looks exactly the same, whether or not Morris starts against FIU or not. So in terms of me holding any of these next 4 games against him, I'm not gonna. But I just want to make sure that we see improvement. So like if you get beat by Tulane a certain way, or things don't work against a Tulane a certain way, well then against Memphis, I'd like to see something different. And I feel like he's shown that thus far that he's willing to do that, because we've seen different things game by game against bad opponents. Yeah. So
I like the way you put that. Yeah, I don't have anything else. I would say, to answer my own question, I think Eric Morris has lived up to everything I expected him to be. From a play calling perspective, I thought he was on a level that I have
fantastic.
not, except Latrell never reached that level.
No.
Ever. Graham Harrell might have reached that level a couple times back in 2017, but doing this with a new team, not knowing what you had, and entering this game, I just thought he called a fantastic game in the first half, and even the second half. I thought they were able to put the game away on the ground, put the game away in a different variety of ways. I just was so impressed by the way they moved Temple side to side, created holes, created space. Like, that is something that was genuinely impressive. So
I mean, one thing that just shows that, I don't remember exactly how many receivers he threw to, but I think it was 25 or not 12 receivers.
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12. He threw to 12.
Yeah.
12 people caught the ball today. You're not relying on a Jalen Dart in every play like we saw a couple years ago. You're not relying on a Jalen Guyton and Rico Bussey only. You're throwing this thing everywhere. I mean, Jamori Macklin, he had 160 yards, but he only had 6 catches.
Yep. I mean, Kalen Horton had the sweep touchdown.
Yeah.
They threw to Landon
I
Sides
love that wide
times.
receiver screen.
Yep.
Where he cuts inside.
Yep.
I mean, and then obviously give the running backs their credit. 37 carries for 220 yards. Like,
yeah.
Or I guess that's with Chandler Rogers. So
yeah,
remove 12 of those. But
it's offensively, they've lived up to everything. So I think that's my main takeaway is they can reach this level on a fairly consistent basis. Now, the stretch of death comes up. Can they reach that level, or at least one time in these 4 games? Can they hit the apex one of these 4 games where they're clicking and they're rolling and they really have a chance to win 1 or 2 of these games? That's going to be the interesting part. Again, like you said, they lose these games, I'm not holding them against them. Like, this is year 1. Like I said before, they did not hire Eric Morris to beat Tulane year 1. They didn't hire him to beat Memphis year 1. This is a multi-year rebuild, and I think he's shown enough through these first 6 games that I very much trust him moving forward.
I agree.
And that's exciting. Anything else on the Temple game? I think we covered it pretty well. Defensively, it is what it is. They're not going to be great. It's impossible to fix the shortcomings that they have at this point. At least holistically, you're not going to fix everything.
Right.
But we'll see if they go back to a 4-man front against Temple. They went back to I think they were mostly in a 3-man front. I keep saying Temple, Tulane. I'm interested to see if they go back to a 4-man front. They were mostly in a 3-man front today, from what I saw. Again, expecting Tulane or Temple to throw the ball probably, but
Too late.
Things
Yeah.
change. So we'll see what they look like next week. We'll have a preview podcast and everything as well.
Pick 'em time.
All right. Oh, let's do a pick 'em. Here,
Yeah.
pull our pick 'em up. I'm
Okay.
gonna go turn off the oven.
Go. They've been in there this whole time. 25 minutes.
No, well, kind of, but they were. It's on a very low heat.
Oh, okay. So you're just kind of letting them sizzle in there.
Yeah, I'm just keeping them.
Jesus, we tweeted too much. All right, I got it.
Them up a little bit.
All right, so we changed our original pick'em because of EJ Warner being out.
Yes.
So we moved passing yards down from 330 and a half to 274.
Here, let me pull up the graphic.
I got it right here.
No, but I'll share the screen.
Oh, great idea. Yeah.
Preset. Share screen. Here we are. Okay. So here's our pick'em. This is what we updated it to after we learned EJ Warner was out. Did we adjust it enough? No, but we had no idea how good
it was literally 10 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
So
Temple passing yards, we lowered it down to 274, a full 60-yard drop, basically almost. I had the over. Colin had the under. It was under by a lot. So Colin wins that. North Texas yards per rush. This was the one we had to sweat.
Oh man, I was sweating hard.
Going into the last North Texas drive, people, North Texas was at 5.0 yards per carry. Colin was like, I need this one, please. Let's get some yards. And I was saying, okay, but they also can kneel it out after a couple first downs. Well, what do, Colin? They go like 70 yards and like
Oscar Attaway goes like 10 yards, touchdown.
They rip off a bunch of yards and they hit the over easily. They end the game, I think, with 5.9 or something like that.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Colin hits the over there. Jamori Macklin, this was a great line, by the way. 1.5 touchdowns for Jamori Macklin. Credit to Colin. I took the over though, and I got it. So
it was late too.
Shout out Jamori Macklin for that second touchdown. And then Temple points, we lowered it down from 34 to 31.5.
That definitely wasn't enough.
That was never gonna hit. So, yeah. So through those, it's 2-2.
Yeah.
But then we go to the score: 42-27 for me, 40-33 for Colin. Again, we probably could have done updated score predictions after we learned EJ Warner was out, but it was me. So that's 3-2. Let me pull up the doc and see where we're at.
I am honestly just happy that I only lost 1 point. I'm down 4, I think now.
I think so.
With 6 games left, it's going to be a battle to get back because let me tell you, you see those locks in those pictures on that graphic? About to be gone. Gone.
All right. Bruni is now at, that was a 3-2 week, right? Yeah.
3-2.
16. Yep. Colin is at 12. Colin, you're 1-4-1 week away from cutting this thing. So I
almost had a 4-win week.
I almost had a 4-1 week, but you got
4-1 week, yeah. Yeah, so, it's gonna. I'm gonna laugh if that 5.1 yards thing decides it. If this was the game,
this is the game that could decide it, Colin. And I don't want to. Sometimes in life, I'm nice. I want to let you back in it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep my foot on the throat.
I don't think you've ever tried to let me back in any of these pick'ems, considering that I have to pick first and you have to pick. It's not like one of those situations.
Well, maybe like when we play basketball, I'll let you.
Well, basketball is different because I'm bad at it. So.
So yeah, I'm not taking a chance here. We're gonna just keep it rolling. I don't want to show up to a women's basketball game with Kim Mulkey with a shaved head. So that's my goal. Because I will have to cover a national championship winning team with a bald head, and I'm not doing that.
What if we did it to where you had to shave everything on your head, beard and all?
No, I wouldn't. I think I would get fired if I did that. I don't think I would make it.
Kim would look at you and be like, "What?"
Like, honey, what happened?
No, you just wear a hat. It'll be winter. You could wear like a beanie.
Wear a full face.
A balaclava.
I don't want to make fun of. I'm not making fun of David Njoku, but wear the mask that he wore.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he burned his face. That was crazy.
Yeah, he did burn his face, but I'm not making fun of him. Not that he would listen to this podcast, but yeah, that would be me if I had to shave my head. body or shave my entire face. Okay.
Body. Okay.
I can't think, bro. It's 12:30. I'm hungry. Oh, all right. Thank you all for joining us. We're gonna wrap it. We're gonna end it right there. We're gonna have another guest on the podcast. Probably gonna do another basketball guest. But yeah, shout out Jamoy Macklin, friend of the pod, friend of the show. Maybe have him on later on in the year. Again. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Shout out to Republic of Football for hosting our podcast once again. And check out Home Field Apparel. 15% off your first order. 10%
I'm getting
off
sick and
every
tired
order
of you guys
after.
not buying anything. Also, I'm getting sick. What I'm really sick and tired of is no one subscribing. I said 270. We're at 268, and that's just unacceptable. Let me tell you, 37% of y'all, 37% of y'all are not subscribed. And you know who you are, so I want you to subscribe.
We should have led the podcast with that. They already clicked off.
You can just, all you have to do is just, all I need you to do, Bruni, is just clip that section and post it on Twitter.
I got you. All right, guys.
Damn it.
Okay.
But everyone's asleep.
Colin's gonna keep. Yeah, don't. Who's everyone? You have one person. That lives
Norma
in-
and the dogs and my old
Oh, the
bar.
dogs.
And that would just be an absolute mess.
That would be a mess. All right. Well, for Colin Metro, I'm Matthew Bruni. We will talk to y'all later.